Hello, in this video, I'm going to demo more writing the SQL code to create queries under Access and how to create reports on the Access. This is going to be a bonus project. I already uploaded the initial database under the assignments, so you can directly download to your computer and start to work on that. Mostly the tables we have here are similar or identical to the completed Access assignment number 2 related to the T-shop database. The only thing is I add a credit limit, so column under the customer table because we are going to have some queries using combined search criteria. So there is the additional credit limit under the customer table. And also I have a extra table here I call income summary or invoice summary. This is actually the converted table from your query to calculate the total revenue for each invoice. Because in the original order details table, you can see we have the revenue for each individual items for the invoice, but not a combined or total revenue for each invoice. But that information is very useful for managers to analyze the sales revenue for different invoice ID. So I convert the query into a formal table. So probably you don't have it in the number 2 assignment, but I give you this new table in this database. So we are going to use this one in more queries and in creating more reports. So that's the kind of the only difference between the tables we have here and from the one you completed from the number 2 assignments. And so if you follow the instruction steps also, so we are going to learn more SQL. SQL is a very powerful tool. You can create or different queries on the Access. We even can use the SQL, create a new table and adding records to existing tables. So the first two steps in the instruction file is try to demo, create a new table in the database and then add new records. So for building, for building queries using SQL in general, because you don't have a place, right, or a tab, so we can directly open and write our SQL code. So follow these general steps for all of the following queries you are going to do. So to show the SQL interface, so we need to start from the create and then query design. And from here, I can go click on the query design again and click on the SQL. Okay, or you click the view, you see the SQL also. But either way, okay, I will go back to here. And now you can see this is the whole space you can work on your SQL code. Normally, they will have the first prompt because select is the most common SQL syntax. Select is like the query, right? If you start any like data search queries, we need to start from select. But the first query we are going to do is creating a new table. So I'm deleting the select. And for this one, again, to avoid prevent like syntax errors, so you can open my Word file and copy all of the code from step 1 into your canvas here. So even myself, because if you type the code by yourself, and there may be extra space or typos or even the punctuations. So anything went wrong and the query wouldn't run properly, right? To save time, so just copy and paste the code I have on the instruction file. But try to understand. Okay, you can see I'm using the SQL demand is create table. Okay, that's like the general word. And then following that is the new table name. I'm calling it cash receipt. So for this table, I'm trying to check the payment from the customers for the different invoices, okay, the cash payments. And then in the parentheses, you are going to create the columns and the data type for your new table. So from here, I'm inputting a list for the different columns. The first column will be receipt ID and the data type. Integer, not null, means required. And this will be the primary key of the new table. Okay, so you can define. And then all of the other fields. So receipt date, not null, okay, like means like required. Then receipt amount, currency, okay, and the receipt date is the data variable, not null. Then order ID, because that's a foreign key, will be linking to your order details table. This is the text, and then customer ID, okay, linking maybe like to the sales. Okay. So but anyway, 5 data fields and with the parentheses to finish your code. And after you check, actually understand, okay, and click on the query design again and run this query. You see it didn't show in the query. We haven't saved it yet, but you see a new table appear here, okay, under the table list, the cash receipt. So we'll save our query. So I want to name it new table. Or you can name something makes sense. Okay, so and click on OK, and this create a new table appear under the queries. But this is not a regular data search query, so you can see the image. Okay, the icon is different from regular data search, and even like my invoice total, which is the one I search calculate the invoice total revenue and convert it to a table. The icon is different, so don't rerun. Okay, after you create this new table, don't rerun this, because every time you rerun, they are trying to recreate the table and it can mess up what you already have. Okay, so this is the first. So create a new table. Now I'm trying to insert a one row of data into this table. Okay, if you click on the table, right, I have all of the data fields, and that's under your datasheets view. I can quickly switch to the design view later if you want to change anything. Like for example, the receipt ID, I may want to they have it here as a number. Okay, that's fine. But if you want to switch to also to a short text, okay, we can change from here. But anyways, this is the structure. So I'm trying to insert like step 2 in your handout. So create a new query. Okay, every time I'm following the initial steps, create query design, within query design and SQL. So again, this is the insert. We wouldn't use select, but the copy and paste the single row, the code under the second query in the handout. Again, to avoid write the query by yourself. Oh, I did that. To copy and paste only one row of data. If you want to insert more than one rows, you can continue add. we add this insert into, I think the values, you can continue just to insert the values and then finally finish. But I'm only demo like one rows of data. So query design and run. Okay. And it's asking you to confirm you are about to append. Append means like, append a new rows of data to an existing table. Okay, like, just to confirm. And you'll see the data updates. Okay, once you save and close the queries, I'm going to save and rename. Just use insert okay, into, because this is the query I practiced. And don't again, okay, do not run it again. If you run one more time, it will add okay one redundant data rows. But now if you click on the cache receipt, so you can see new rows of data added to the existing database. So I'm not really going to use the cache receipt for more queries or tables, but just to show the, all of the possible functions under the SQL. Okay, so that's step 2. And then you can see they have a different, okay, insert, like this a different icon. Now we are getting to the regular data search queries under the access. So number 3, so how we can use select in different situations. So select is a common data query. Select means I'm trying to do a search for different data fields from different tables based upon my criteria. You can search data from a single table, connected multiple tables with all of the different criteria you want to define. Okay, let's practice a few. So again, starting a new query. And this time I can leave the select. So again, if you are, if you try to write your own code, but again, to avoid the typos, okay, to save time, so copy so under like the first item on the step 3, a general search. Okay, I'm searching some customer. Let's paste first and to see my purpose. You can do this under your query design directly, okay, using the table and selections, but this is the code beneath that. But be careful, do not include the number. So select, okay, select, after select is all of the column names or the field names. If you have multiple tables, it's recommended to put the table name before the column name, because some of the columns, they have the same fields, right? 2 tables have customer ID. So if you don't specify which table, the system may get confused. Which table you are getting this field, okay, to have a accurate, like the coding recommend to add the table name before each data field. So I'm getting all of the data from the customers table, okay, each one. Then I have a dot between the table name and the field name. Then from is followed by customer, which is the table name. Oh, so select fields, then from table. Okay, that's always the basic, the 2 function words. Select data fields, okay, from a table or like multiple tables. Where then this is my criteria. Okay, if you don't specify any criteria, it will return all of the data rows from your original customer table. But like what we did in the prior assignment, I'm requesting the state variable to be California in this case, and a customer the credit limit larger or equals to $10,000. All California customers with a credit limit larger than $10,000. this is only for example. Okay, now you can understand. Okay, you can revise if you have other criteria, maybe like from other states or different numerical requirements on the credit limits, larger, smaller, equal to, and you can just modify the code, okay, for a new query. But that's what I want to do. So after you copy paste and understand, now you can go to query design and run. And now it's only returning this kind of like one sheet of outcome, right? Because I'm only calling for columns of the original data. So this is the data search. Now take a look for your original customer table. You have much longer, right? So much longer and more items. So data search, okay, getting data as you requested. And now close and save. So once you get your desired results, so you can close the query and save with some meaningful name. Okay, I may call CA customer. Okay, and then the rest I will skip. Okay, CA customers. And this will be the icon for a regular data search, right? So like, two tables rather than the unique type of queries. Okay, CA customers. And if you do, I can reopen if you want to revise your queries, and you know how you can do this. You go to the home and go back to the SQL, right? Now you go back to the what I see the code. For example, okay, if I want everything, okay, all of the columns from a table, I don't need to type all of the columns because it's really time consuming. Okay, the Access offer a quick way, so we can use a wild card, like a star means a wild card selecting all of the columns, okay, from the table you are extracting the data. So if you want to run, oh, I see what I did. Because this is like, I didn't really save my change, I believe. Well, yeah, it's right, actually. Uh, I'm still keeping my criteria, but getting all of the columns. Actually, this is right. Okay, you can see rather than 4 columns, I'm getting all of them. Okay, that's another way. So use a wildcard to select all of the columns. And then I'm going to go back to my code, and so you can keep the change, no problem. Okay, I'm a So, I couldn't really, go back. So I will do the save. Okay, but I changed from the 4 columns and now to include all of the columns. So I'm going to close and save. Okay, that's a wildcard. Then under select, for most case, we can do more sophisticated, comprehensive data search involving multiple tables if they are already connected together. Or which tables you can extract the data, from multiple tables. Now that's back to the database. So that's like the one way the database, the relationships. Okay, if you want to get the data from multiple tables, they must have been linked together using the primary key and the foreign key. For tables, if you don't have link in the relationship here, you couldn't extract the data from both of them. Or like for example, I can extract the data from customer and sales, right? I mean, for example, I want to see sales with like the customers has made the purchase or customers hasn't made a purchase. Remember, we have the non-matching search for customer and the sales. If you don't have the link, you couldn't do the search in that case. Or, later I will show, because actually, we can insert something from here is if I want, search the invoice and the total, you can see I can add a invoice table here. And this one, I will the invoice ID, or I prefer actually do this way. No, cancel. So let me move to here. So if I want to know, because that doesn't make sense, okay, invoice ID and this is the order detail, if you connect them, okay, like the most meaningful is I want to know the total sales revenue for each invoice ID, okay, like rather than by each item. So I'm linking the sales table with this invoice, okay, and bring the total revenue. So under the initial, the original sales table, I don't have the total sales revenue, right? But now once I create the invoice total query and convert it to a table, now we can add the data. Actually combine the data from these two tables will be very useful. And again, if you want to see like the cash receipt, the cash receipt, like which invoices has been paid, okay, by the customers. And I also can do this, okay, this invoice ID, I think I probably name it, but it should be the order ID. Again, this one I can change the name. The order ID should be, okay, like the invoice ID, okay, you also can create. So in that case, later you can do some query to find out the data related to the payments for the different invoices. Okay, so as you adding more tables and adding this, so it's really become more like a real, business operation. Okay, like a database, like sales and cash collections, right? So that's like, so I'm adding two more tables and add some more the relationships. The close and save it. So now I can, do many actually the data selection from multiple tables, but let's do a simple one first. Okay, so the third item on the step 3. So create, starting from the general query steps, okay, SQL. Again, you can copy my code, okay, from this one. So let's copy and paste, then see what's the purpose for this query. I normally call comboed or combined query. And this one you can see I'm collecting data, right? Selecting data, select from two tables. And I'm getting so customer, like from the customer table, I'm getting the customer ID, company name, and then two data fields from the sales table. So the invoice ID and the order date for that customer. Do you see my purpose? So for each customer, all of the invoices ID, like all of the invoices related to that customer and the sales order date. So you are generating a order count, right? Not only customer, but also all of the sales or the purchase they have made from the company and the date. And the criteria is very critical. Okay, and I'm putting this. So the two table, you can see my criteria where customer ID, like the customer ID, okay, like matching, connects the two tables. So means I'm only selecting record, okay, like for the customer, like, in the sales table, the customer had purchased. So you wouldn't see any customer if they didn't buy anything from us, means they have no associated invoice ID. And also I want this list to be California only, like to limit my search result. So two criteria, but this for combined search, I must specify, okay, the foreign key and primary key. Okay, even I already have in the database. And if you have additional criteria, you can add over here from two tables. Now let's write. So all of the customers has made a purchase in the period, right, with the order date. So you may have redundant, okay, like the customers made multiple purchases, right? So like with more than one invoice ID, you can see here. For example, if you're looking for these rows, these two rows. So this, okay, I couldn't really, I can do March here. Did you see? Yeah. Same customer, right? Like two purchase in this period. And you may have even have these two are also, right? Again, if you want to do more query, I said, I want to summarize the total sales revenue for each customer, I can continuously do that. Okay. More data search based upon this new query. Okay, all California customers with their total sales revenue because we can link to the invoice total later. But this is a basic two table only search. I can do a three table combined, then bring the total revenue to here. Okay. But this is very powerful, okay, and very useful. So you can see I can call this is a customer sales, right? So customer invoice for California. Okay, so this is the desired result. Close and save. I will call California customer invoices, right? So we have CA customer invoice, and that's the initial practice on using the fundamental select from search queries. Then we can add more twists in your queries, adding some other situations. For example, like what we did, I want to group the sales revenue maybe by the invoice IDs or by the customer IDs or by other, okay, like aggregate. Or that's something we did similarly under the Excel pivot tables. Okay, now let's do step 4 under your handouts. So using the group by function, okay, is like a function under the access. So using the group by function with give us aggregate functions for numerical values. So we can aggregate the numerical values to do the calculation as total, average, max, minimum, like the pivot table. Okay, so aggregate to for the numerical values. So number 4, let's try this. Okay, create query design, then SQL, again copy. Oh yeah, this is the one I asked you. Did it act as a extra step? Okay, your own on the second assignment. You can that time okay, you can just use the query design, pull the table and circle like put in the criteria, right? The revenue, sum of revenue larger than a certain amount. Now we are going to learn how to use the SQL. Okay, write a code to accomplish that. So copy the code on the step 4 and paste it here. Yes, I'm doing a search, right? We already actually have these things under the invoice summary, but this you can see a data query, right? We did it before. Now we are learning to use the SQL do it. So having total invoices, total revenue larger than 1,000. Okay, under the all of the receipt. Okay. So we are selecting from the order details table, the invoice ID, and the sales revenue. Okay, sum of the sales revenue grouped by the invoice ID. So sum, you also can change the sum like to average, okay, AVG or max or minimum, okay, like in other cases. But I'm asking a sum of the sales revenue grouped by each invoice ID. And in the meantime, I'm requesting the invoice, the total revenue larger than $1,000. So group by, okay, adding, so group by and having a number larger, smaller, okay, or you can having is give you additional filter choices, okay, like filtering options. Then we can run this. Missing. Oh, okay. Like I missed. Yeah, when I do this larger. So initially it's 600. Okay, I'm changing it to 1,000. Or if you use 600, that's fine. So now I can run only three. Very interesting. Only three of the invoice total revenue larger than 1,000. Okay, if I want to relax this, so for example, I'm going back home and SQL. Okay, change this to maybe like the 600. Okay, relax it so we can include more invoices, and now we have more values on here. Okay, so group the invoice, the revenue by the invoice ID and put some filter of the values. Then close and save. Okay, I'm going to call invoice total, right? Invoice. I just can call 600. Okay, and that's actually my query. Okay, has tried to do. Okay, I will stop here for the first part and then finish the rest in a separate recording.